Hello and welcome to another session in English language, and in today's class and session we'll be looking at consonant clusters. But before that, let us review the previous lesson. Welcome back. Like I said, we're going to be considering another interesting aspect of English, which is speech work. I love this part of English, and today our focus is going to be on consonant clusters. So, what is a consonant cluster? Now, a consonant cluster is when we have two or more consonant sounds following each other or coming together at the beginning or at the end of a particular word. Okay, when we have two or more consonants coming together or following each other in a sequence without an intervening vowel in a syllable. So don't forget that definition of a consonant cluster. So we said some consonants are permitted to follow each other in a sequence without an intervening vowel in a syllable. Okay, so we're going to be looking at so many examples of that today. So when two or more consonants, like we said, come together, they form a cluster. So if you're asked what is a cluster, a consonant cluster is simply when two or more consonants come together without an intervening vowel in a syllable. Okay, so that is understood. Now, like I said, these clusters can occur or appear at the beginning of the syllable or at the end of the syllable. Okay, at the beginning or at the end. So don't forget what is a cluster. Like I said, a cluster is the coming together of two or more consonants without an intervening vowel in the syllable. So that's what we call a consonant cluster. A consonant cluster. So a consonant cluster is the coming together of two or more consonants without an intervening vowel in the syllable. And I said they can occupy two positions. They can occupy the initial position, which is called the beginning, or the final position, which is the end. Okay, don't forget that clusters can either be at the beginning or at the end syllable in a word. Okay, so we are looking at examples that will follow this, but don't forget, in some words it's not always easy to identify the consonant clusters, because you don't just dictate that through spellings. Okay, you don't just dictate that through spellings alone. Alright, so let's take examples. We have the word new, so you can see two clusters. Okay, new. Before we have the u. Alright, so we have few. Okay, there's a cluster here. We have cute. We have chew. There's a cluster there. We have view. There's a cluster there. We have stew. There's a cluster here. We have students. Alright, so students also has a cluster they are all occurring at the initial position, that is the beginning of the words. Okay, so the cluster in these examples occur at the initial position. Okay, initial position consonant clusters. Alright, so let's look at further examples. So we have them at the initial position, that's at the beginning of words, and we have two consonants playing out here. We have play, play. We have here bright, bright. Okay, we have drain, drain. Then we have threat, 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 threat. Okay, we have a cluster here too. We have clan. Okay, clan. Alright, then we have hue, clan, hue. Okay, so at the initial position of every of the words listed, that's why I have to transcribe every of these words down for you to see. You would notice a cluster at the initial position, which is otherwise the beginning of the syllable. Alright, now we want to look at two consonants at the final position, and I told you that clusters happen either at the initial position or the final what position, meaning at the end of words we could also have what, a cluster. For instance, the word sacked. So this is the transcription of the word sacked, but if you look at it, what you have there is that's the what you have there. Okay, that's what you have there. You have, alright, so that's what we have there. Then we also have washed, washed, washed. So what you have there ideally is washed. Right? What you have here is max. You can hear the sound and max. We have also maps. Now we have and so if you bring both together, there's cluster. Maps, lanes, lanes. We have and z, so it's what, lanes. Then we have loaves, vs, vs. There's a cluster here too. Loaves, loaves, loaves. Alright, so these are clusters at the final position. So we have numerous of these words, okay, but we are going to constrain ourselves within the examples we have in this lesson. They can either, don't forget, clusters can happen or they can occur or appear at the initial position, which is the beginning of words, or at the final position, which is the ending of words. So you can see the word, the cluster there is on at the initial position here. Okay, yeah, the initial position, and I told you beginning, that's the meaning of the word initial. So you see them at the initial position, beginning of words, and we can identify that. And we can also see them in the final position, which is the end syllable. Okay, so we can see them in the end. So that's at the final position. So with this, we have come to the end of today's lesson. Thank you for joining us in this lesson, and to refresh your memory and recall all that was taught in this lesson, I would need you to please take the test that will appear on your screen.